Well, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn something new. Today we're going to be learning BCG matrix, that is also called as the growth share matrix. So BCG is like one of the biggest consultancy firm out there, out in the world, and it has given us specific matrix for strategic management, and we're going to be learning that today. So without any further ado, let's begin. So this comes under the dynamics of competitive strategy chapter in your strategic management, which is the eighth. Sorry, I'm sorry. It is the seventh paper in your CA intermediate, that is in group 2. So without much more talks, let's just dive right in. It's such an interesting topic. You're not gonna wanna miss it. And of course, yeah, I'm going to try to explain it into very minute detail so that you can understand every single point of it. So let's begin. I hope you can see my screen. Yeah, everything's good. Let's start. So Boston Consultancy Group is the name of the consultancy company that actually made this matrix. In short, we can call it as BCG matrix and also can be called as the growth share matrix. So the matrix is as like in this way, all right? This is actual matrix that they have prepared. You can see there's an X axis and the Y axis. You can also call them as the vertical axis and the horizontal axis. The vertical axis is nothing but the market growth rate, and this one is the relative market share. Now I'm going to explain what do they mean. Market growth rate is your potential in the future and how your product or your business is going to expand and become more profitable in the future. And relative market share is, for example, in the telecommunication market, there's like three big players right now, that Jio, Airtel, and Vodafone Idea, whatever it is. So basically, market share means in total industry, what is your holding in the whole market? That basically means your market share. Now, market share can either be high, that means you hold a big portion of the market, and low means you're relatively on the smaller side. And market growth rate means a higher growth rate means you have much more potential in the future, and lower means you don't have much potential in the future, and your product may not be as successful as the others. Now, when you bring down the axis and bring down to the points where they meet, you get four types of classification of products or your units. You must be doing strategic business units. Those are like the different division or product within a division. Those kind of things are called as strategic business units. So it can either be a product or a strategic business unit. So first category is known as the stars. Second one is the question marks. Third one is the cash cows, and the fourth one is the dogs. So where you have a higher market share already in the market and your growth rate is already expected to be higher, those kind of products are known as your stars. These are the best for your best opportunity for your company. You'll have tremendous amount of profitability from such kind of products. Examples for this is for Reliance Industries Limited. Geo is such a kind of a star that it has a relatively high market share right now in the telecommunication market, and already it has a lot of growth rate since the beginning when Mukesh Ambani released it and made it like a free thing. It took over the market by a storm. So, example, you can give it as Geo for this. Then comes the question marks. These are the most interesting kind of thing in theoretical world, and you can see some of these in the market right now as well. So these basically have a less market share in the whole industry, but they do have a higher rate of growth. That means it has more potential in it. Examples for this can be electric vehicles. Now, in the vehicles market, there is a less proportion of the market that actually belongs to the electric vehicles, but they do have a lot of potential in the future because due to the less availability of our diesel, petrol, this has a higher rate of, growth in the future as well. So we can give electric vehicles as the example for question marks. Then comes the cash cows. Cash cows, as the name suggests, are like your assets. That means like it's already so it cash cows were once stars that they become cash cows later on. What I'm trying to say is stars later on, when they lose their market growth rate, become cash cows. For example, cigarettes for ITC. ITC has a lot of strategic business units in its own industry, and cigarettes is like their cash cow because it has no proper growth rate in the future as well, but it already has such a big market share in the industry of cigarettes. So that can be a very good example for cash cows, cigarettes for ITC. All right. So these basically have a already have a higher market position in the industry, but they already had at some point of time some better growth rate. But now that growth rate is done, they're stagnant. And finally, we have the dogs category. BCG has made a discriminative kind of thing towards dogs, but making them look bad. But I'm on the good side as well. Dogs are better than any animal out there, so they don't deserve this. All right, so let's just come back. Uh, so dogs relatively have a lower market share in the whole thing, and they do not have the growth rate as well. So these are basically your worst of your product category or your strategic business category. So basically, dogs are the one that you should have minimized amount of products in the dogs category, because they don't have a potential in the future as well, and they do not even occupy such a great market share that you can even have a proper profitability from it. So basically, dogs are the worst and stars are the best. And then comes the cash cows. Then at last second position is held by question marks. This is just a preferential basis. I'm just telling it for some on my basis as well. Okay. And now we need to learn something more about this. Let's just come and read the text what is written. So stars. Stars are the products or SPUs that are growing rapidly. Circle them. That's a very important point. They also need heavy investment. They need heavy investment in the future and in the present, because you need to make them in such a way that they give you most profits. So they need to maintain their position, and rapid growth potential is what they occupy, and they represent best opportunities for expansion. So if you want to expand, have more products that are your stars. Cash cows. They are low growth, high market share business or products. They have a low growth. This is directly coming from the matrix. See, listen here. See these cash cows. They have low growth rate, but they have high market share. So that's the same thing that they're writing in sentences. Low growth, high market share. Now, they generate cash and have low costs. These are like the most uh, cash generating products or SBUs for the business. And they also have very low cost because you don't need to promote them or something. They already have a bigger market share already. So, but they do not have a proper growth rate. They're established, successful, and need less investment to maintain their market share. Simple line you can understand on your own. In long run, when the growth rate slows down, stars become cash cows. This is a very important point. So when your products were one stars, but they'll start losing their growth rate, they become cash cows. Question marks. Very important from examination point of view, because ICI tends to ask questions from where there is more theory. And out of the four, this one is the most theoretical one. I mean, like in proportion, BCom level strategies. Just kidding. No offense to anyone out there. Come back. Sometimes called problem children. We all are. Wildcats. Relatable, right? Low market share business in high growth markets. Again, from the BCG matrix, it's a basic line. They require a lot of cash to hold their share. You need to invest a lot of amount to make them have a better share in the market, right? That's why you need to heavily invest in such things. See, need heavy investments with low potential to generate cash, and they do not tend to generate cash so quickly, because they do not occupy such a bigger market that they can attract customers easily. You'll have to spend on a lot of marketing for this kind of products or SBUs. Sorry, I get carried away sometimes. Make me remind that I need to go slow. Question marks, if left unattended, are capable of becoming cash traps. So if you keep on investing on these kind of question marks, but you do not do proper market strategy, or you do not bring them into the market in such a way that they can be accepted by the customers, they become cash traps. That means You put your cash into somewhere, it gets locked, you cannot withdraw it, you cannot even use it in any way. That's a cash trap. You must be knowing that, sir. Since growth rate is high, increasing it should be relatively easier. See, you already have a proper growth rate. I'll show you. See, what is the growth rate? High. So it has proper potential in the market. Alright. Last category is the dogs. They are low growth, low share. Basic. They generate enough cash to maintain themselves but do not have much future. Simple lines. Sometimes they may need cash to survive. I think that's basic the stuff you can understand by just reading it. Loss should be minimized by means of divestment or liquidation. So divestment basically means selling it to someone, and liquidation is shutting down. So I hope you learned the matrix quite easily. Now, the best strategy for someone, for other than stars, obviously stars is the best one. If you do not have a star product, you have a cash cow product. The best investment for you would be to keep on generating amount of cash and collect it from the cash cows and then invest it in your question marks. So in that way you'll have a higher market growth rate in question mark, and you can relatively make your market share into high as well. So some steps that can usually happen in tend to happen in our markets are: stars usually become cash cows when they lose their growth rate. Cash cows tend to generate amount for the business, and that amount is invested into question marks, which tend to become stars in the future. That is by gaining a relatively higher market share. Dogs, nobody is interested in. Not the animals, the products. Everybody loves dogs, right? Alright. So yeah, this is nothing. This is all about BCG matrix. If you have any doubts, leave them in the comment section. I'll try my best to answer them as well. I'll be pinning this document with uh, this link in the description below, so you can study from there. So just study once again after listening to the class so that you can get some points that I might have missed so that you can understand better. All right, I hope you guys liked it. We'll see you again next time. Bye bye.